WSKY TV News, Lexington.
The news is brought to you by SkybridgePress.com, publisher of the journal Kentucky Lexington Monitor, and a still small voice, the Vatican, the USA, and Israel in Bible prophecy. SkybridgePress.com.
Hi, my name's Mike Davis. I've been here since Thursday. This is day 9 of the occupation. And unlike traditional protests where you show up for an afternoon and wave your signs for a while and the world ignores you and life goes on, we're really starting to not only draw attention, approaching critical mass to these very important issues that need to be discussed, but we're actually becoming the solution, as it were, building the community that we want to see right here, right now. Of course, not in a literal sense that we want to sleep under tarps on the sidewalk, but in the sense that we all come together as human beings, care about one another, help each other out, and make decisions that everyone can live with by consensus. Everyone's invited to the General Assembly meetings. It's a very, very open, organic, spontaneous kind of thing. You just gravitate toward where your skill set is. You choose your own level of involvement. Everything involving organizing the community. For instance, this first week we've been trying to put together mission statements and code community standards. We've actually done that as of a few days ago. Can't hear over the truck. In General Assembly, we've been discussing so far not only logistics of actually staying here, but also we're working on statements and official documents that represent us as a group. And that takes a little minute because we keep sending them back and tweaking a little bit so that everybody's comfortable with it. But we're definitely all brought together by the overarching concept that a very few people have hogged most of the world's resources, and those of us who do the work that create the wealth deserve our fair share of the fruits of our labor. The main crux of the reason why I'm here personally and why I think a lot of my brothers and sisters here are here is the power of the vote has been subsumed by the power of the dollar. We've got people that control a lot of economic wealth. The disparity of wealth is just completely ridiculous. And the decisions that affect everyone are being made by the wealthy and powerful few. A solution to that, in my mind, is getting the money out of electoral politics. We can no longer survive in a system that allows economic power to donate millions and millions of dollars to people who are supposed to represent us. And then when they get in office, of course, they're looking for their comeuppance. They send the lobbyists in. They write the legislation, literally. So if we get the money out of the system, we can give the power back to the vote, and we can start to have an actual conversation about the myriad issues that are important to people. The biggest part of this is that it really transcends political ideology. We've had everyone from the Tea Party to the socialist movement down here standing side by side, waving signs and having productive conversations. We feel like if we create a system by which we can actually have a meaningful conversation without all the backroom deals and the disinformation and the bumper sticker slogans, then we can hash out those issues in a reasonable way and create a society that works for everyone, not just the people at the top. Yes, absolutely. I'm talking about getting rid of campaign donations, getting rid of, the media is supposed to be the fourth estate. They have an obligation to the people to give us correct information. They exist because of the infrastructure of this country, and they have a responsibility to not only be truthful, but be objective insofar as it's possible to be objective. Not at all, not at all. The media, 95% of it is controlled by the same people that are controlling the political system. So what we have is, on one hand, a bunch of really, really, really rich guys in seats of power in a bubble that are completely disconnected from the rest of us making all the decisions. And then you've got this media propaganda machine disseminating disinformation, incomplete information, completely incorrect information, And this has created kind of the zeitgeist that we live in, where everyone actually has their own facts, and the line between truth and propaganda has gotten very, very wavy. These are, in most cases, very intelligent, very articulate people who are really, really good at their jobs, which is to rhetorically protect this top 1%. Yeah, I think that works for that. Essentially, what their job is, Hannity and Limbaugh and all those guys, is to protect the status quo, keep the gravy train rolling for the top Forbes 400, and make the rest of us think that it's other poor people's fault, other working people's fault. It's the union's fault because they get paid better than us. It's the poor people's fault because they're on welfare, and to say nothing of the fact that many, many billions of dollars in corporate welfare go directly from the taxpayer to corporate executives quarter after quarter. It's a divide and conquer strategy. It's get a set of people mad at this other set of people so that one group of people at the top can, for lack of a more civil word, screw everyone. Yeah, I can speak to that. Voting in the next presidential election is not exactly on my personal priority list because, like I said before, it's a systemic problem. It's not one particular politician or another. Whoever gets in there is going to have to play by the rules that are in place. And it's those rules, not necessarily the people in the system, that are creating this disparity of wealth, this outbreak of homelessness because of foreclosures, this rampant unemployment, and generally everybody but a few rich people having a really bad time. I would say come down and talk to us. I haven't gotten a check from George Soros. I don't know anybody that's gotten a check from George Soros, but he's kind of the go-to for the wacky lefty conspiracy theorists. George Soros is funding everything. I mean, if that were true, he'd be, what, a trillionaire, right? But it's ironic, it's projection on their part, because you've got all these right-wing groups and these really, really rich people, of course, funding AstroTurf movements to push issues that support the billionaires. So, yeah, it's not a liberal conspiracy. We're represented by all facets of the ideological spectrum. We disagree on a myriad of issues, but we're united with just the knowledge that our system is broken, it's not working for us, and we need to fix it if we're going to be able to move forward in a meaningful way.
How would you fix it?
Well, we're kind of doing it right now in miniature, right here. We're making our decisions collectively in a fair, directly democratic sort of way. People, like I said, they're gravitating toward their skill sets. We've got a food pantry set up over there. We've got lots of blankets for people that are spending the night. We've got materials to make signs. We've got boards with which to organize and get the working groups together. Really, what we're trying to rather than just be against something, we're kind of creating a small version of the solution right here. A way where everyone's voice is heard, where we can have meaningful conversations absent propaganda. We can teach each other things. We do skill shares. If somebody is really good at computers, he'll offer to teach people about computers. And in this way, we all exist and we all grow together. And if that sort of thing were to be widespread, I believe humanity would be much, much better off. Personally, I don't ascribe to any religion, although the religious figures such as Buddha and Christ and Muhammad have very excellent stories to tell, very inspirational stories, things that, we could use to think about, like feeding the poor, like stepping out of mundane reality to look inside yourself once in a while, like loving your brothers and sisters, loving your fellow human beings. And unfortunately, what we've got today is a culture of fear. And what we seek to do is create a culture of love. And I personally believe that when people experience a culture of love, they're not going to want to go back to a culture of fear, because love just feels better. Any large institution, be it a corporation or a government or a religion, has the basic purpose of kind of controlling the behavior of a very large group of people. So it doesn't surprise me at all that they would interact with one another and help each other serve the ends that are mutual. And I feel like the separation of church and state is essential for basic freedom of religion. When the church and the state get together, a lot of people start feeling uncomfortable if they believe a different way. And I'm not here to tell anybody that their beliefs are wrong, but I am here to tell everyone that their beliefs are valid. The immigration problem just harkens back to the same problem, the overarching issue that we get back to. It's simply, to the powers that be, it's a very convenient source of cheap labor that they're not responsible to or accountable to. And add to that, back in Mexico things aren't great. It's really hard to scrape a meal together or get your family under shelter. And that's why these people come over. They care about their families just like we do. So I think all this stuff about building a wall and an electric fence is just nonsense. At the end of the day, we're all human beings, and if we don't take care of each other, then we aren't going to last the next 1,000 years as a species. My background, I was raised largely middle-class privilege, very sheltered life. Everything that was on the news was true. At some point I was dropped into actual reality, and I had to unlearn a lot of things and learn a lot of new things. And through self-education, I've realized that what's going on isn't working not only for me, but for any of the people that I care about, the people that they care about, and the people that they care about. So if anyone's wondering just what this is all about, I would encourage you to come down, talk to us, and let's have a conversation. Even if you're right-wing and I'm left-wing, that doesn't mean we can't find common ground on certain issues, and that doesn't mean you're not my brother, and that doesn't mean I don't love you. As far as permits go, I do not have direct knowledge as to whether or not we officially have one. I suspect that we don't. As to the police, they've been nothing but gracious and respectful. They check in at the beginning of their shift. They have conversations with us. I mean, like, these are human beings too. They're not just cops. They're people. They're fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, who just happen to be wearing a uniform. So it harkens back to the humanization of each other that we're trying to create. And the Lexington police has been just outstanding. They haven't bothered us. They've only come over a couple times to ask us to clear the sidewalk, and of course we did. But we haven't had any issues whatsoever for the police, and we're very, very grateful for that. Well, I guess we live in a place populated with people who are afraid, who day to day live in fear of losing their jobs, or not getting a job, or not getting a meal that night, or not finding a roof to sleep under while it's raining tonight. There's just a lot of fear. It all goes back to fear. And that's kind of what this is about for me at my core, is letting people know you don't have to be afraid anymore. We're here, we're with you, we're all in this together. Yeah, although I kind of reject the Red China rhetoric on the grounds that, like every other movement or government that we've identified as communist, hasn't really contained much actual communism. It's just kind of a dirty word. But as far as that goes, it's the same thing, just bigger. It's economic power putting their weight on governments, and the governments bending under that weight, and making decisions that benefit the economic power at the expense of everyone else on the planet. Really, the truth is money is based on debt. It's loaned to the government at interest from the Federal Reserve, which is a private institution. And the interest simply doesn't exist, so they keep borrowing more and more. And I think that's a very intentional system designed to take real wealth, like property and land and whatnot, and take it out of the hands of the people who live and work on it. and into the hands of the people who already have way, way, way more than they need. Too few hands, and we need to spread that out. And I think if we can accomplish that, a lot of these other issues will either solve themselves or become much easier to talk about and come to a solution.
The news is brought to you by skybridgepress.com, publisher of the Holy Lexington Empire. skybridgepress.com.